is my presentation for Dismantling Stereotypes. So I chose the movie Coda, and it's about a 17-year-old girl named Ruby, and she's the only hearing person in her family, which consists of her mom, Jackie, right here, her dad, Frank, and then her brother, Leo. And they're all completely deaf, and I'm going to choose to focus on Leo in just a second here. So Jackie, Frank, and Leo, they're all completely deaf, and they also choose not to use cochlear implants or hearing aids. And the family kind of relies on Ruby to translate for them and help them keep their family fishing business afloat, all while she is drawn to her dream of being a singer. So for the portrayal of disability for Leo, he's completely deaf, like mentioned before, and the movie kind of shows him isolated. He doesn't have many friends, but he's really close with his family. And this reminds me of Gargilio and Book's textbook. I don't know how to pronounce his name, sorry. And the chapter talks about those who are deaf or hard of hearing interact less frequently with peers and engage in less social situations with hearing people and prefer to engage in situations with people who are deaf or hard of hearing. And this is because of the lack of shared communication system. It is just like the difficulty of becoming friends with someone who only speaks fluent French. So next, Leo speaks using American Sign Language, no spoken language, but he can read lips. So the chapter also points this out as being as called bilingual, bicultural, or bi-bi. And those who are bi-bi consider ASL to be the natural language of the deaf culture. So he communicates using ASL, although he can read lips. And last, Leo has no intellectual disability. He just wants to fit in. So the chapter explains research that intellectual development for the deaf and hard of hearing is more of a function of language development than cognitive ability. So Leo's cognitive ability is that of average intellectual development, meaning people may think he isn't smart because he's deaf, but deafness has nothing to do with cognitive ability at all. Next is psychosocial stigma. The first one is confinement, by Hazen Black. This talks about how Hollywood portrays the problem of disability as a problem of confinement. So Leo's family is portrayed as confined and isolated because they all live together, they all work together, and hang out together with no outside people. And then pity. So Hollywood films have encased a logic of pity for people with disabilities. So throughout the movie, you may feel bad for Leo and his family because they struggle so much with communicating with others without relying on Ruby to translate for them. Next is the burden of disability is unending. So the beginning of the film gives the feeling of the stigma, but it's kind of resolved towards the end. So like here, for instance, is a picture of Ruby attending a doctor's appointment with her parents, and she has to go to their doctor's appointments with them to translate. So yeah, and then attitudes rather than disabilities limit people. So the community the family lives in judges the family based off of their deafness, which limits their success in their fishing business and exposure to social interactions. So in the beginning of the film, Leo and his family are being judged for being deaf, even though they're just as capable as anyone else in the town. Next is effect on individuals. So I said this was really eye-opening. You can see the struggles, the rewards, the challenges, and everything about the lifestyles of those who are deaf or hard of hearing. And it also makes those who are deaf and hard of hearing feel represented. So people who identify as part of the deaf community may feel more represented and seen after watching this movie. And also children of deaf adults, CODA, which is what this film stands for, may also feel more represented. And the last one is empowerment. So the family learns how to not rely on Ruby and successfully continues their lives as a deaf family after she leaves for college. So it just has that sense of empowerment as Ruby embraces her independence and goes to college to chase her dream, and her family learns to embrace their own independence as they continue with their lives and work. And last is learning experience. So I really learned how much those who are deaf or hard of hearing can struggle socially and emotionally. And it is so important to teach inclusion to your students because of that. So when I was reading the textbooks about how people who are deaf or hard of hearing tend to interact less with hearing peers, and seeing Leo struggle with wanting to fit in, it made me realize how much those who are deaf and hard of hearing can struggle socially and emotionally. So this is why it's super important to teach inclusion to students, especially bringing up how some people may want to talk to you and be friends with you, but they just struggle saying it. And last, those with disabilities don't need to be pitied. They're just as capable as anyone else. Leo and his family prove that they do not need pity from other people, that they can work hard just like every other fish farming business to be successful. So, yeah, here are my references. Thank you.